pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to jump around here just a little bit tonight. Mickey's got to go early. So, you want to give me a report?
Sure.
He's got to leave early, so we'll let Mickey go first on the radio report.
So the next RACOG board meeting will be on May 30th at 6 o'clock, and that'll be at the town of Lowville. And then the Tuggle Local Government Conference is May 1st through the 2nd, coming up at Turning Stone Resort. And naturally, the Lewis Conference is June 12th. They'll be down at Lions Falls. And then there's Black River Watershed Conference will be on June 13th, and that'll be over in Old Forge at the View there, Art Center. And then the Economic Visioning Summit, we had a pretty good attendance, anywhere from, I don't know, I heard somebody told me about 30. I counted in the picture 23, but that was only in the picture. So, so somewhere around there, we had a pretty good turnout for, given that it was Good Friday, and a lot of people weren't there because of that. The COG surveys that were going around for the University at Albany, we're hoping to have those results for the RACOG board meeting on May 30th. The local government student activity, we actually met with BOCES, and they're very interested in doing something with students as far as engaging them with local government, kind of like there's I guess a civic readiness seal now that the schools can get, or kids can get in their diploma. So we might be using that to help them with achieving some of those projects that they have to accomplish. So, and that'll be something that will start next year. But we're planning it right now, we're working on it right now, and it's going to be pitched coming up here in May. We'll be pitching it to the school counselors about that. So, so you never know, watch out, you might get asked to volunteer for one of the events. And then the Fort Drum intern we have is Paul Shepard. He's a lieutenant colonel from Fort Drum. He's interning for the month of April. He's actually working on that student activity, and he's also going to be filling in as associate circuit rider to help cover some meetings here this month. And he might actually stick on after that too as associate circuit rider. But he lives over in Village of Black River. He's on the planning board over there. He's very involved, so he might be a good fit there. Other than that, that's pretty much what I have, unless you have any questions for me. Oh, I will just let you know the LED lighting. So we did submit, or we had to basically send all the canceled checks for Carthage, Wilton, and everything to the Department of State. Those have been sent over, so we're just waiting now for the funds to come.
That was going to be my question.
Okay, well, I got thinking you might.
On that.
Yeah. So it's still moving forward. It's just paperwork, basically. But I think we basically sent them everything that they need at this point. So hopefully those funds will be released and we can get those divvied out.
Anybody got any questions for me? That's it?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Okay, orders of the day, public hearing, New York State food pantry. That's been postponed, possibly be rescheduled. The public hearing on that. Explain as we move down through unfinished business. Approval of minutes for the
I'll make a motion we approve the
April
minutes
3rd
as written.
organizational meeting.
I'll make a motion we approve them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of vouchers.
Okay, general fund, we have $87,709.72. Sewer fund, we have $20,369.89. Water fund, we have $26,621.97. Missing the capital, it's an even 10,000. So all these have been audited, and I move that we pay them.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Restore New York grant food pantry. Right now what's happening there, the developer is not sure he wants to move forward, and we won't know. We're supposed to have a phone call with him on Friday morning and hopefully get an answer. But what we would like to do is just in case he does decide to move forward, is actually schedule a public hearing on that for our May 15th board meeting. But I know the planning department and naturally Lewis and myself are going to be talking with him Friday morning. So.
This coming Friday morning?
This coming Friday. Because Cassandra's trying to get it set up for Friday morning. To get an answer for sure if he's going to definitely move forward or not. But because all the stuff has to be done before May 22nd, that's why I would like to be able to schedule a public hearing for May 15th, just in case he does want to move forward, rather than have to call another special board meeting.
I'll make a motion that we schedule the public hearing for May 15th, you said?
It's the date, you say the date,
May 15th,
May 15th?
yeah. It's our next regular meeting.
You made a motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that'll be at 4 o'clock. Groundwater well development project, phase 1. As you all know, we were waiting for some equipment to come in to finish it up. And the latest I had this morning was all the equipment's in. They're putting the equipment together. They hope to have it completed by May 17th. Then they have a testing period it has to go through. And once it leaves the shop, it passes all its tests, the crew will be here to set it all up the week of June 3rd. And once that's set up, then that project will be complete. Any questions on that? Groundwater well development project, phase 2, that's still on for May 6th to start the 2 test wells. There's nothing different than that at the moment. May 6th, we're supposed to start doing 2 new test wells up there. LED street lighting, basically we're still waiting along with everybody else on what I was talking to Mickey about. There's a third incentive that the village is entitled to. And I believe it's somewhere around $61,000 we can put towards the purchase of those lights. And we're also waiting on New York Power Authority for the final bill. Other than that, that's all that's left to be done on that project. Any questions on that? Zoning changes. Tim, you had information?
Yeah, I
on
met
that,
with
right?
Cassandra and Megan in the planning department, Matt Johnson and Chris Boboa from Tug Hill on Tuesday. And we reviewed the changes and they were going to try to get actually a final draft to us by today, but it didn't happen. So they have some proposed changes in Schedule A, adding some site plan reviews, taking out some of the wording. We have a proposed change for handicap ramps, basically on lessening the setbacks. There was some subdivision talk, and basically what I'm going to do, as soon as they send it to me, I'll send it to the board, the board members, and it's going to have to be, approved by us, sent to the county for review.
Plus, we're going to have a public hearing.
Plus the public hearing, correct. So that's where that's at right now.
But after everybody gets a chance to review it and we hear more, we can
Yeah.
set the public hearing up at our May 15th meeting,
Possibly, yeah.
possibly. Timber cut, I see that's on here, doesn't really affect us, it's more the municipal board. But that's-
Right. So I've been in contact with Tyler Scouten, who is our prospective forester. He's completed his walk through the whole property over the last couple of weeks. He's basically telling me within the next 5 years, we should probably cut around 700 acres. We haven't cut in the last few years. But he's gonna get back to me with a proposal here soon, and I'll share that with the board, and we'll go forward.
All right, brings us down to the 2024-25 budget. Everybody's okay with that? We need a motion to adopt it.
I'll make a motion, we adopt that budget.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business, budget amendment, general fund. Anybody get a copy of that? Basically, it's amended the police capital equipment by $35,000 to pay for the police department's new vehicle that came in.
I'll make a motion to accept the
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
mayor. A couple of things that I'd like to add to new business. You and I attended first off the summer rec meeting a few weeks ago. And I think that we've got to get the summer rec board back in working order. And I guess Bob Mullins has been in discussions with you on it. And we feel they should meet once a month. And some of the members we may have conflict of interest with. And I'll discuss that further with Mr. Grove. We have a couple other executive session meetings that I want to discuss. DRI. Today I attended the mandatory webinar for the opening of what's expected of us as far as code of conduct, conflict of interest, and the rules and how it's going to happen. I will tell you that in that meeting, all of the meetings that we have, other than the core meetings, are open to, the way I understand it, to the public. There'll be, our group will be the ones in the final say that vote on what we feel should go to the state. But the state makes the final decision on the projects based on the merit, what they think they will be, and from what have you. So that's pretty much the most I've got out of that today. It was an hour seminar. I thought very well run, and learned a few things today from it. A lot more to learn. Thank you.
Okay. Rayco updates. Mickey pretty much covered all that. Everybody get a copy of the fire chief's annual report? Any questions on that? Looks
Pretty straightforward.
Yep. And then Community Cup.
Mayor, can I read this in its entirety? It's addressed from the county manager, Ryan Pesci, to the deputy treasurer, Wendy Snowden.
I mean, it's just they're asking for use of the park.
Okay, I'd like to read it. We would like to reserve the Veterans Park for the 2024 Community Cup. Reserving Veterans Park on May 31st, 2024 for kickball and trivia. Estimated time will be 4 to 8 p.m. Estimated attendees 70 to 100. Needs: electric to the grandstand for the trivia, electric to support a food truck in the parking lot. And if possible, we'd like permission to paint lines on the grass to outline the 2 kickball fields. In bullets, yes, we will make sure that are listed on our waiver again. Yes, we will abide by the no alcohol rule. And yes, they might make county groundskeepers clean the park up after. That's a given. Also, if the village would like to participate in this great community event, they could do so by waiving the park rental fee, which of course would be greatly appreciated. I have a couple comments on that. First, we require that of everybody. And I think it's what, $50, Brittany? And if the county,
25,
25.
25, and then 25 per.
And if Mr. Pesci in the county, or Mr. Pesci, I don't know if he's representing the whole county or what, feels that way, he could take that $50,000 and put it against the several $100,000 of taxes they taxed on a water filtration plant that we still haven't seen. That's all I got.
I don't see a problem with them using the park. They've done it for the last couple of years. Checked with our people. None of us, our people want to participate, so it's basically up to the board. I can see charging them for the electric, but when it comes to the use of the park, it's up to the board. But, you know, good rapport, I would almost say let them have the use of the park. But that's up to what the board wants to do.
We need a motion.
I mean, the big thing with
I
the
make a
parks-
motion, we just do the electric fee.
A second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, with a caveat.
The thing is,
I'm for it if the final sentence is taken out.
we're, as a village, we're trying to get more people to use the park, and this is a way people to use. And the more people that get into the park, they see what we got there, maybe they'll come back on their own when there's not an event going.
I won't disagree with that, Mayor. I just think this is a poorly written memo and a really snotty last remark, to put it bluntly.
And then we have a letter from Homes and Community Renewal thanking the village for being part of the pro-housing community, which is basically going to help the village in the future for any future grants or anything to go to the head of the list.
And it already has, right?
Yeah.
And it already has with the DRA.
Any questions on that? So basically, there's $650 million out there that, in funding that now we'll have a good shot at if we want to go after. And they're basically telling us there'll be more details coming for calendar year 2025. Okay, brings us down to officers' committee reports. Village attorney, anything?
Nothing to report, just one question. So I understand the zoning, there may very well be amendments to that. Last month, one of the questions that came up was in regard to fences and hedges and walls. I looked at the information from the county, and I agree that the provisions you've got in your zoning on that are subjective, and that's not a good thing. But I guess what I'm looking for is if I can get some direction from the village board on what objective criteria you want to add to it, so that I can have the concrete information you're looking for, that maybe we could dovetail it with the zoning coming up. But again, so what you're really dealing with hedges and fences, you want to make sure it doesn't obstruct traffic, and independent of your zoning. If there are issues like that, the DPW superintendent has what we call police powers to protect the health, safety, welfare of the public, meaning trim what you need to get done to make sure that people, whether they're walking or whether they're driving, it's safe for passage. What you as a village board have done, you have more than that. You've got legislation that has been passed that is supposed to try to make sure that it's clear, that the visibility is safe. But I agree with the county, it is subjective, and more criteria would be helpful. I just don't know, it's really not my prerogative to try to suggest the heights for hedges or distances. So I'd like to get some direction from somebody in particular on that.
Is that something we should talk over with Matt too?
Yeah, probably we should, discuss that with the Tug Hill Commission. Matt is an expert on zoning,
He was on our time.
and I actually have to speak with him again. I didn't get a hold of him today, so I will bring that subject up.
I'm just looking for some kind of
Try to
standard
get
that you want, and I can
a
make sure.
guideline for you.
Yeah, so, because I don't overstep my bounds. I mean, you're the legislative body, not me, so. And that's it.
I don't have anything. Clerk treasurer,
Nothing.
we have your monthly report.
Yep, I
Anything
have
else?
the treasurer's report. I think everyone should have a copy of that. If you don't, let me know. Comments on that.
Matt, you fill it in for the chief?
I guess, I just told us to be here. New car is in, you're getting lettered. We've talked to, or he's talked to R12, and they are re-lettering, we're going to the new lettering program for design. So that's, then he talked to JPJ, which is gonna upfit it, and we were under the assumption that they were going to order it when we talked to them months back, but it sounds like they just ordered it within the last 2 or 3 days, so they're talking 6 to 8 weeks before we can get the cages and some of the stuff. Note to that is he did call back today. I guess the lights and stuff might be in next week, so we're gonna try to get it, at least get lights and radios and stuff in it, and we'll use it without the cage. Retired, we had a retired trooper coming and wants to work part-time. Sounds like by the end of the month that should be going through. We've got to do a partial background check on him. It sounds like he's interested in a couple days a week that wants to come in. The clips went very well in the village, very well. There was a few crowds. We did a little bit of traffic detail when they crossed the street going back after the eclipse. The only downfall we had to the day was there was a motorcycle that come into the village on Newton Boulevard at a high rate of speed. We didn't pursue it. We kind of just followed him around for a few seconds and got him to decide to go outside the village. And so this week we've been asked to cover the judge or the court tomorrow. I guess they got 1 or 2 people coming in that they might be rowdy, so we're going to try to get an officer over here tomorrow for town court. And Chief's sorry he couldn't be here. He's at a cream cheese festival meeting at that. So that should be it.
Superintendent.
A few things. Spring cleanup's going well. Guys have already been out. We've poured concrete already this year, which is great. A lot of work going on in the village. I just met with a few minutes ago with Bernier and Carr Associates, who are our engineers for the Veterans Park. Things are moving pretty good now that all the information has been sent to New York State. So hopefully that'll pick up and we can actually start doing some work this summer at Veterans Park. They did give me a proposal on a splash pad bathroom, which I haven't shared with anybody because I just got it. So I will share that with the board and get some opinions. In your packet, you'll see the proposal for the 2025 International plow with a sanding package. So originally we had budgeted for a new sander, and myself and Foreman Sam Moore, we went around to the equipment, and we think that the village would be better off if we got one new plow right now. Our existing plows are a 2005, 2007, and we're starting to put money into them, and it's time to turn it around. So we've got a proposal from Stadium International. Talked to them, talked to Mac and a few others. Stadium kind of gave us the best deal. So the proposal that you see is $199,747,000, which we have that in our budget for the truck fund. That would include a new plow with a sander on the back. So for the last, 20 years or whatever it's been, we've always plowed with our 2 plows and then had a sander come when they're done plowing and sand the roads. This way, I think we will be better off when we're plowing. Right as we're plowing, we're sanding off the back. So this has already been budgeted for. Talking with Stadium a few weeks ago, they kind of have, I believe, a really good deal. So like I said, our two plows are a 2005 and a 2007. If we were to commit to Stadium when we buy this truck and tell them within the next 4 years we are going to purchase another plow truck, we can get the price exactly the same as it is right now 4 years from now. Which, say 4 years, we say now we want the truck. It's still going to be another year and a half before you get it, before you actually even have to pay for it. So you're talking 5.5 years to budget for another plow truck. So
But your price is locked in now.
and that price is locked in at $199,747 4 years from now. So,
Some state contract, Paul.
yes. Yeah.
Can we notate that contract number in case audit patrol comes in so that when we have it in stock?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
So this looks like the truck was 124 and the rest
Yeah,
of
the-
it 75.
Yeah, the cabin chassis is 124, 249.50, and then the sander box on it, plow is 75, 497.50. So, just wanted to know what the board's opinion was on that, because this isn't going to last very long. So if it's something that we want to do when we sign this paperwork for this new truck, we also need to sign the paperwork to secure the next one.
I make a motion based on state contract that we purchase this vehicle for the price of $199,000, whatever is in the proposal.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What about part 2 of it?
Do you want to lock in for
Do
5
we
years?
want to
down the
lock
road?
in for,
Can we leave it locked in for the next one based on what it has to go out for procurement at that point?
I don't know the specifics of it, if you've got a proposal, you can lock it in, I would think.
I don't have a problem with it, I just want to make sure that we're legit, we're doing it legally.
we're not the only municipality that does it,
Yes.
that is doing it.
Second
There's-
portion, yes. So the second portion is part of my motion for 4 years, trading it back in for that amount.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's it. Thank you.
If I could, Mayor, if I may back up for one quick question. Veterans Memorial Park.
Mhm.
So back in late March, the village engineers raised a question as far as the environmental review. Seeker, anytime the village can fund, approve, or undertake an action, you've got to get environmental review. They asked me to prepare the resolution. I did, and all it was about was the village serving as lead agent for coordinated review. You did that, you had the type 1 that was done, and we didn't hear back from any involved agency, which then opens the door to the next step. I just want to follow up, did you hear anything further
Yes,
from the
I'm
engineers?
glad you brought that up.
Okay.
So they would like to do the seeker for 2 and 3,
Yep.
but we have to wait our 30 days, which
Well,
is going to be before our next board meeting. So if we could, to push this along, possibly do a special meeting.
That's up to the board.
Yes.
So what would normally happen is your engineers will normally recommend the part 2 and 3. You're the group though actually that reviews it, and if you're comfortable with it, I'm assuming it's going to be a negative declaration, and I assume that they'll prepare the negative declaration. I just want to make sure that's in place before the actual project begins.
Yeah.
It's up to the board whether you want to have a special meeting or whether you want to wait till your regular meeting in May.
Well, once they get it done, we can call a special meeting. It shouldn't take too long. Get people together. Just to approve the second part 2 and 3 of the secret.
That's what I told them today, so.
Because the other part of this is It's gotta go back to sunshine at New York State Parks before they can finalize the contract.
And the state will make sure that you've got that negative declaration for
Right.
seeker before they let you proceed.
Capital and future planning, anything?
Yes, met with Paul earlier this week or last week. We're going to develop a list of capital equipment moving forward. I haven't had a chance to talk with Daryl yet, and I also discussed with Paul, we have about 22 miles of streets within the village. And maybe within the next 5 or 6 months, we can map out, projecting down the road when they're gonna have to be replaced. Keeping in mind, it's extremely difficult to project pricing when you're doing a street once every 20 years. You know, we may be able to put in some inflation guard and figure out an estimate, but that part's gonna be very hard to do. But that's the plan, and Tony and I will get with Paul and start that going, and I need to talk with Daryl and Matt too, because the police, and to a smaller extent, the clerk's office, because there's certain capitals there. And then we would need to discuss with Mr. Mullins moving forward, what we can expect out of this, moving forward with this building, so that we need some clear things in writing, so that there's not questions or how do I say it, maybe some feathers being ruffled from time to time. So it needs to be done, and
We do have a municipal agreement, Dan, with the town on this building.
which we need to look at and move forward with it, because I know that there's been some issues. I didn't move forward like I wanted to, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be reelected, but now that I'm reelected for 4 years, we will move forward on it. That's my report.
Personnel, anything?
Just requesting a executive session for non-contractual employees' wage discussion.
I would like to request a personnel issue also, and in that meeting, I would like the chief or Matt to stay, and the attorney to stay, and everybody else can be excused. Unless you don't need them for your issue.
No, Brittany and Paul will not be needed for.
Okay, thank you.
Finance. Anything?
No.
Mason's Fire Department.
Fire department did send, Joe regretted he wasn't going to be here, but he sent me a text saying, just a reminder to let everyone know that their awards banquet is on Saturday, and the village board members and spouses are invited to attend.
You know what? I don't.
That's that. That's about all I got.
Do we have to?
Police Department, anything?
No.
He didn't say.
Planning Board and Zoning Board, anything?
There's actually a meeting next week.
And I know.
Municipal Board, anything?
Yeah, the meeting was very short last week. There wasn't much going on.
And Town?
About 10 minutes.
Close tomorrow.
8 minutes? Okay. Yeah, tell us tomorrow.
Anything on Town? Or?
Tomorrow.
County?
No.
Apologize, Mayor, I didn't realize recreation was on the liaison, so as a liaison of the rec committee, I think I told you earlier that we're going to try and get that recreation board to meet regularly once a month, so that we're now spending, the rec board, the recreation in this community is very much needed. It's not inexpensive, and there's a lot of things that have to be decided. We have a liaison who's gone to the fire department every month and met with them, and our rec budget is actually more than our fire department budget, so it would be remiss for us to continue to not have an active rec board. And between the village board and the town board, that will be happening. Thank you.
Well, I was hoping to have some final numbers for tonight, but hopefully by next week I'll get something, have something for the May meeting, because if we move forward with the recreation, we do have to cut a check in June, so.
One of the things we need to do is, we're doing this, in my eyes, backwards. We're hiring and then having sign-ups. We need to have sign-ups and then hire, and I think that's got to change. I realize that we're probably going to have sign-ups like in February or March, but it's no different than what we do with other youth sports, because from there we can determine what we're going to need, so that we're not wandering into May and June.
The one thing that's got it up in the air this year is, and why the school shut so much down out there this year. We're not able to use the swimming pool or anything. So they're trying to arrange a program where they can still pretty much give the children everything they give them in the past. But then we still want to have a swim program someplace. So they're trying to work out the logistics on that. So that's kind of why we're not.
What is the age group for that? I mean, a certain age before
I
you
think
can
it's like
sign up?
5 or 6 up to like maybe 15.
Can't answer that.
Up to maybe 15.
No, it does go that low, 5 or 6 years old?
Actually, if you want, I can pull their,
I'm trying to think.
I have a copy of last year's report, and it lists all the age groups and how many from
I was just curious.
I believe it's
age
5.
to
I think my grandson Emmett participated last year's 5.
5 years old.
And it's a great program. It's a wonderful program.
Okay, brings us down to public comment. Anybody got any?
My name is Donald Cook. I live on Woodlawn Avenue. First of all, let me thank you guys. I spent 19 years on the Village of Philadelphia Village Board when the Fort Drum was expanded. We went from 800 to 3,600 people. The concept, the stadium concept, is being built back at my house, across the street from here. I'm not foolish enough to think I can stop it. But it was poorly designed as far as my property values, in your taxation, because there's no buffer zone between my property and that complex. Right next door is a factory, Patchco, that required planning as a buffer zone between them and the high school field. I've been to see Ward Daly, and I think his name is David Brown. Anyway, we're still, it's Mr. Brown. Secretary of State handles that area as far as what can be done or what is done. I'd say that's a poor design. There's Bill Colonel supposed to be here, but I know he had a tooth pulled at 1 o'clock, and he probably isn't feeling too good.
Was it a wisdom?
He's my next door neighbor. I didn't pull it, no.
I had one yesterday.
I'm not foolish enough to think I can stop it, but maybe a double row of pine trees or some kind of buffer. When the original design called for 1,500 people, seating, it's backed off, I think. Original design didn't call for lighting. Now they have lighting. You're going to have traffic, you're going to have noise, you're going to have lights, and if you're around a turf field, which it's going to be, you're going to have dust. Now, I'm going to ask you, Mayor, you're the Chief Fiscal Officer, to contact the Secretary of Education in Albany on behalf of the Woodlawn residents to see if we can get a buffer put in. Just something that will have some kind of blocking device so we're not affected by that new stadium. I was advised by Mr. Daly and Mr. Brown to do that. As an individual, the Secretary of Education ain't gonna pay shit to me. I ain't even gonna get a phone call back. But you, as the Chief Fiscal Officer for the village, will get a phone call back.
A phone call
Ask
or a
you to
letter?
do that.
A phone call or a letter? I think a
I
letter.
don't care what it is. I just would like some contact made.
Don, I'm curious, What did Mr. Daly say? Did he say that the schools are exempt from
Yes,
zoning requirements?
yes, they are. But if you look any place else in this village or any other village in New York, that a complex similar to this is built on a private cern, they have to have a buffer. Look at the physical journey out there on the number 4 road. Had to have a, were directed, I don't think you made them do it, but they were directed to have a buffer between them and the house, which was across the street. And only, it's not a lot to ask to have a double row of pine trees placed there. To give some kind of buffer between us and that
But has
organization.
anything been said to the school about just coming in? and
I don't know. Mr. Daly wrote a letter to the superintendent of schools. And he might better went in the bathroom with it, so.
Well,
No, the only reason I ask is I ran into a similar situation with Kraft Heinz years ago. And I just contacted Kraft Heinz and they put in a buffer of trees with no problem.
As far as I'm concerned, this will have a detrimental effect on my assessment.
But
You're gonna build a stadium in your backyard.
well,
I think, I hear Mr. Cook, and I think in fairness to the school, we go to them and see what they actually say, and if not, we need an answer, we need it now, minimally what he's asking for, and if they don't react in the positive, then we go to this. That way, we're probably going the chain of command as a village board that we should.
That's fine.
but I mean, myself, I think the school should
Mhm.
actually step up and do something. Because I don't know how many people in this village realize it, but that school is, all the property they own is worth over $52 million. And 17.65% of our tax exempt property, it's all the school. They're the biggest one. The county's only 3%.
Along with everything, there used to be a 10-foot area between the chain link fence and my back property line. Okay?
Yeah.
They never mowed it. Me and my neighbors maintained it and mowed it, not me, I wanted that for about 10 years. The rest of the neighbors for over 20 years. I believe, according to New York state law, if the area is maintained and mowed by the residents, they can claim it under a thing called adverse possession.
It was interesting.
Mayor? I think maybe what we should do, discussing with Mr. Burrows, is instead of a letter to the school, make a direct inquiry immediately with them, possibly with the superintendent and the president of the Board of Education, and see what we get for an answer. And if we are not satisfied with the answer, then we write to Secretary of State.
But what happened if we just wrote them up a letter and send them a letter?
No, you can't. But just a question of, I'm not sure what the timing is, but a lot of times just a direct inquiry follow-up with a letter. But I think the direct inquiry is worth a shot. I recognize the concern, but a lot of times I think that a responsible neighbor like the school, they may very well step up.
Well, you'd think they'd want to be good neighbors.
I would think so.
All right. Any other public comment?
I can read you a little bit of that.
I understand that you accepted the budget on the organizational meeting. You mentioned 13.3% increase. Did you get that down any? You just blankly said we're going to adopt the budget, didn't say what the increase is going to be. Did you bring it down at all?
The increase was because of the property reassessment. And if you look back on your taxes, Henry, you got the same hit last year from the town and county. It's just a year later on the village. Everything is a year later in the village.
But the percentage that you quoted,
I mean, we did not
13.3,
raise taxes. Your taxes rate's going to be the exact same thing.
I'm not concerned about the tax rate. I'm talking about the budget. The budget that the village is spending. That's the important thing, how much you're spending. I understand health insurance is going crazy, okay?
But retirement's gone crazy too. There's a
What's
lot
that?
of things happen.
Retirement as well.
Retirement, health insurance,
A lot of things that,
Yeah. but You're gonna, it's gonna increase 13.3%?
What, Henry?
The budget's gonna increase 13.3% like?
I'm sorry to hear.
Yes, the budget is going to increase 13.3%.
And that's only because of the reassessment.
Okay, I talked to a couple trustees about a couple items on the budget, and some information was brought back to me. Point in case, planning board, I'm a member, Don's a member. We didn't have a meeting since September last year until March of this year. Those several months, we didn't pay out the stipend that the members get and the stipend that the chairman gets for the boards. So all that money wasn't used that was in the budget for this last fiscal year. But they raised it to $8,000.
I'll back up a minute. That money was used because I can show you the town, you're talking planning and zoning board, right?
Right.
Okay, the town came to us this year, and they claim they've been making a mistake on the way they billed us for the joint planning and zoning board, and where we used to pay $3,500 to $4,000, it went to over $6,000. So if there's where some of that money you're talking about probably was spent.
You jumped it to 8,000, planning board 8,000 for ZBA. And both of those organizations have not met. We got a meeting coming up next week.
But what I'm saying is out of that 8,000 that you're looking at, the share we have to pay the town comes out of that. And a lot of that, some of that is Kathy's salary over there. I mean,
Chuck brought back some information to me about what he found out. Because I looked at it and I said, going from this 8,000 with no meetings, I didn't realize that Kathy's income that she gets for pay came out of that fund. Okay, so that helps to clear up the 8,000 increase up to that point. But I'm just saying, it just jumped out at me because in the organizational meeting, Dick DeFone said he went through line by line, and he was a bookkeeper years ago, so he's more attuned to what's going on than I am. But I just want to know, you didn't say, you didn't mention before you took the resolution to the budget, this can be 13.3% increase as you proposed. You know, there wasn't anything you could shave down, knock down.
no, it wasn't.
Was it?
There's no place to shave it.
Okay.
Well, that's a lie.
Another question.
I mean, we could shave it, we could start cutting programs. We could cut the rec program, we could cut, I could save money in DPW, we wouldn't do any grass pickup, leaf pickup, any brush pickup, we could eliminate that, do that just in the spring and the fall and just not pick up every week like we do. That would save probably 35 to 40,000 right there.
Henry, first, to the village taxpayers, thank you all for what you do. We provide a service that we don't have to provide, police protection, and you pay for it.
Oh,
And we also pay for a sheriff and state police, where the others in the county only pay for those too. And we do that without the assistance of sales tax revenue. So, and that's about 30% of our budget with health insurance, and it's a much needed thing. And you and I had some discussions on the phone, and I appreciate your candor in calling. And we discussed that $8,000, and I happened to question Charlie today because I wasn't sure where we were at, and I said I was going to bring it up, and Charlie explained what he just explained again. And we've got one issue where we're paying about $50,000 for an issue that we can't avoid because of somebody that's out. And there's the only way that I can see right now to shave that budget would be, because it's pretty to bone in my eyes, would be to question, do we want to lay people off or that? And I hear so many good comments now about the DPW and what they're doing, and the police department too, who has rebounded. So it's the village's budget. Am I happy that our budget went up 13.3%? No. When you got people out there struggling that don't maybe have the health insurance some of our municipal employees have, I get it. But in the same sense, when you start looking at the wages, a lot of these guys that work in our DPW, you know, they're getting a fair wage, but nothing great. Their health insurance is phenomenal. They're not paying probably as much percentage-wise as the county employees, but it's still a hit. And ours went up 21.6% this year. And, you know, but what I guess I'm trying to say is, you guys are supporting very, very well. And is it where you want it to be? Probably not. But I can tell you, if you look at us all overall with the water, the sewer, and the public services that we give, yeah, I guess we're pretty lucky. I feel sorry for the person that's really living on a fixed income. I don't know how they do it.
I support the police department and the fire department. You know, I had no problem with them.
I know you don't.
I have no problem with that. But I was just in question because Dick, the phone brought up such a crisis last on the organizational meeting about 13.3% raise. And I talked to Chuck and I talked to you, and you guys investigated and you got back to me, okay, I'm satisfied with your increase in planning board, zoning board. If we use all that money, fine. If we don't, then you can put it somewhere else.
I took that budget the next 2 days and looked at it and said, what can we do? We could gamble. You know, we've got a pretty good amount in snow removal, and the winters we've been having haven't been, but what happens if it is next year? That's something you really can't budget for. It's almost like you throw a dart at the wall, hole.
I agree with the new concept with plow and sand at the same time, just like the state does. You know, to plow the street and sand it and then go to the next street. That makes, to me, that makes more sense that they haven't been doing for years, but it took a while for Paul to get things pushed forward to change the equipment. No.
Oh, when you're gonna spend $200,000, it takes a while. You don't want to take a shot right in the arm the first year, so
No.
just, I don't know.
Again, that's almost like I said though to Joe Austin, the difference between what a fire truck cost 10, 15 years ago and what the one cost that they just bought. I mean, stuff is just going up so doggone much. It's hard to cut stuff right to any more than we're cutting. Tim and I spent quite a amount of time looking at that budget over the last couple, 3 weeks, like I told Dick that we would do, and we did. Tim and I went over it, but I mean, sure, you can cut stuff out anytime you want, but what are you gonna do next year? You know, we got in there to fix a couple streets. If we don't start fixing them, what's gonna happen 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? You just gotta bite the bullet, just keep going with stuff. You can't not do stuff. But there's a lot of stuff we don't have control over either.
One more item. Last meeting, the organization meeting, I mentioned the fact that tomorrow morning's a town meeting at 9:30. Your meeting's at 4 o'clock the day before. Mr. Mullen talks. I'm usually there. Nikki Dietrich's there. I'm there. A couple people from the public, and that's it. But Mullen always mentions we have money in the New York Class Fund, Community Bank Fund, and we're getting phenomenal interest. And he throws out a figure saying, we made a bunch of money this last month. How many $1 million I got in the bank? You know, I know the county's got more than we do, but he gives an interest rate and says we made $30,000 interest last month, which can go back in and regrind into the budget. Can you put that in your agenda in the future when you do your report, Mayor? Tell us what the interest rate is, or is it a secret? You know,
We can do that. That's not a problem.
just be a little bit more transparent. I'm Joe Q. Public. I don't have any axe to grind, but there are people here, like we talked about, that are living. Do they eat, or do they feed the cat? You know, it's kind of a sad situation. Fortunately, I'm able to keep up with the expenses. That's all. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned that DRI is open to the public. Are they planning any public notice of the meetings?
Yes.
Yes, as a matter of fact, May 14th through the 17th, I think there's going to be 3 meetings, and that will be announced as to the time and the place.
Okay, so that'd be public announcement.
Yeah.
They will also have a website dedicated just to the DRI.
Through the town, or special through Naturally Lewis, or do you know how that's set up?
No, I don't.
I don't yet.
The state's working on all that right now.
Okay,
Basically, they're running the show.
okay. Yeah, the next thing is the summer rec program.
Joe will get with you later, try and work out something. The county's interested in doing something with it too, to let you know. Something else came up earlier about the streets. Just to put on your list, there's been a resident has problems with some of the streets. Hillcrest Circle is kind of in rough shape now. I don't know how that is on your priorities, but I went up there the other day and I took a little rust off my truck. Something to look at.
Oh, it's on my list. It's just with everything's done with CHIPS money.
Right.
So
well, just
I
understand.
budget so much.
I understand there's lists. It's just if it's A or Z, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if you were to drive around the village, you see we have repaired quite a few streets, and Paul and I can put a list together if you want one.
Right, I understand it. I'm just reiterating what a resident.
Basically, what we've been trying to do is get the worst ones first.
Right. The higher traffic streets,
Yes.
and then work your way down.
I understand your priority, but I'm just letting you know that as a resident that's concerned about that.
We're well aware of it.
Okay, thank you very much.
On the street business, I worked for the DOT for 30-some years.
Yes, boss.
Please have your engineer include state specifications for the placement of asphalt. The streets you did were not compacted properly, and you'll see that down the road with water intrusion, freeze and thaw. I watched it. I spent the last 17 years, I was the materials engineer for Region 7, 5 counties. But just have them include that the equipment is up to date. You can't use the driveway paver to pave streets because the stresses on the two are very different.
And we've talked about that in the past, and you know, because I've told you that project was started before I got here.
Exactly.
And everything was written in stone, so I couldn't change it without costing the village a lot of money on change orders. Because we think alike. I know exactly what a street should be built.
Cost you about $2 a ton.
Yeah. So as long as I'm here, it'll be,
Total expense.
yes, as long as I'm here, it'll be covered by state specs.
Any other public comment?
Yeah, I do. I hate to disappoint you, but I didn't. Actually, information really, Paul. Now that you're going to well water up there at our supply, we put a lot of money into work on the beds, the filtration beds. Is that system still functioning in supplying water as well as the wells?
It is. It's at a reduced rate right now because we're trying to pull more water out of the wells. So those are, we've got sand beds up there. Right now, we have them working so that we can use them in the future if we have to. Say a well goes down and one of our big manufacturers here takes a lot of water. We can ramp that, we can ramp them all up if we want so we can get more water. So we'll never actually shut them down as far as I know.
So if we get a dry summer like we had a couple of years, 2
Yes.
years ago, is that system going to be able to kick in as well as
Correct.
the water system?
Yes,
So-
that's the way we set it up.
So theoretically, we shouldn't have any little warnings put out about cut down on when it's,
Correct.
we have a dry summer about using water.
Yep.
We never were low on water, it's just.
The amount of
We
water
were told
they
the
could-
car should be able to go 150 miles an hour, but when we needed it to do that, meaning when the engineers, when we built that in the late 90s, we found out it would only go 120, we couldn't get the water here fast enough.
Right. We couldn't filter the water
Right.
fast enough. But now with the wells, you don't have to filter the water like you do from surface water. So we have quite a bit of well water. And if something happens where we're pulling tons of water, we'll open up those sand beds. Yes, we'll use more chemicals because we'll have to filter it better and put chemicals in it because it's surface water. But we always have water.
How many people in this room have actually seen our filtration plant, our water filtration plant? You know, I'd like to see it so that we could show it to anybody who wanted to see it. Maybe we can arrange for a Naturally Lewis bus to take us up there.
The problem with that is Homeland Security.
We can't even. Okay.
I can take people up individually.
Without cameras.
But I'd like to say something too, Dick. You know, what we talked about earlier is this summer's gonna be a good test of what's going on. Because we didn't have the snowfall over the winter that we usually do. And it's gonna be a good test this summer to see how good the wells do and in the whole work, so.
But most of that water is coming from the aquifer and the wells.
Yep.
So the snow, that doesn't really have a lot to do with it.
The other thing we have.
But we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean,
It's
that's,
gonna be a good
this
test.
summer, hopefully it'll be a dry summer and we can tax out the wells and see how everything works.
Well, I don't want it interfering with my golf if it rains.
The other thing that's gonna help up there too, Dick, is before we did the wells, we were limited on how much water we could draw. We've got that permit. So now before we could pull 1.5 million, now we can pull, I think it's what, 2.4?
2.16 or
So
something.
we've got what we can draw out, what DEC allows us to draw out has been increased, so we shouldn't have any water problems this summer.
And the last thing is, you said that, let's see, the water wasn't going to change as far as anything. The sewer is going up 3%,
Yes.
but the water's not. You're saying that's what you said last meeting. That's all.
Anything else? Does you need a motion for your executive session?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second. For personnel. I'd like Matt to stay just for the first portion.